Hello, hello.
Hey, how are you, Migs?
Doing great, Ann. How are you?
Yeah, just waking up. Also good. Yeah. I'm in Hanoi, but the others are at different hotels. Yeah. So we have hey Eskimo, and we also have hey Taylor. Good day, everybody. Also, Andrew Lee's here.
Awesome.
Welcome, welcome. All right, I let you guys take the stage. Thank you for co-hosting.
All right. Hey, Taylor. Hey, everyone. All right, maybe we just give it one quick minute. How's Vietnam? I guess it's probably too early to talk about it.
Yeah, we just we got here a few days ago. I think Ann got here last night. But yeah, it's been great so far. But yeah, Irene did a really good job organizing everything.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to touch on a couple topics here, but of course we'll see where it takes us. I have a feeling it looks like 20 or so people said they'd be joining. Feel like maybe we give it a minute. There we go. Hello, Mike.
Good morning from Vietnam.
Good morning.
Good evening for you.
It is.
What's up, man?
It's afternoon, right? 5? 4?
Yeah, 5 p.m. here. Everybody left the office early, so I got a whole command center going on. This is fun.
Nice.
Down in San Diego. We got Alex tuning in from Portugal. I don't know what time it is there. I'm sure he can let us know.
He doesn't sleep, this guy.
Yeah, he just works. Somebody from Namebase was throwing out a little teaser for Wallet. I saw a screenshot today.
I think that was Fauci.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. All right. Well, I mean, I feel like we get started, and we'll see how people start trickling in. I think there's been some developments with Wallet. We also have we have the hackathon going on in Vietnam, an in-person hackathon for Handshake, possibly I think a first as far as I know. I posted a little article summary with some pictures from the trip to Oman. If anybody wants some light reading, and then I think we want to talk about, there has been some pretty big developments. Kind of a proof of use case, I guess would be the best way to put it, for Samurai Wallet this week too. So maybe we can talk about that. Anybody have something they want to start with specifically, or we just get going? All right.
I think so.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, I think one thing that's really exciting is one of the most prominent TLDs in the space that is very well known is the Dot Wallet TLD, and it looks like it's being released into the wild after kind of a battle. I don't think we need to get into that too much, but what's exciting is that Dot Wallet's available. You can register SLDs with it. It's using HNS does which is something that's been long awaited. So I have not had a chance this week to play with it too much, but it is on my list. I know a lot of people here own Dot Wallet SLDs or plan to use them. Has anybody had a chance?
Is it actually like once launched, like you can buy them now?
I understood that that was possible. Alex just requested to jump up here. Maybe he can give us some insight.
I thought it was just coming soon. Like it was announced that it's going to be on HNS.ID. I don't think it's actually live right now.
Okay. My apologies if I jumped the gun on that.
Wait, I thought I saw some HNS.ID like automated bot the automated bot thing register some .wallet addresses, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah. That was them just testing, I think, probably
Yeah.
teasing it a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, okay, so if you go to wallet.id, that's like their own thing, and if you type in anything, it just says coming soon when you see like the completion results.
I see.
Yeah, Fulci was teasing on the tweet that what if we had a custom website to promote a specific TLD? So then,
Yeah, and that's what this is. So it's wallet.id. I don't know if it's supposed to be public or not, but I'm looking at it.
And then he says, what if we make it open source so others could fork it and host their own version? And he links to GitHub of it. I don't know how to link a tweet on this space. Send to Anne.
Yeah, Alex, you got your hand raised? We'd love to hear from you.
I guess there's a slightly delay here. Yeah, so news I can share regarding .wallet. Yeah, Eskimo, you're completely right. Those tweets from the bot were tests.
I figured.
Essentially, every owner that has a .wallet domain on Gateway will receive an email with a link where you can claim your old .wallet domains till the date, but the domains. It's like you're registering the ID for the first time. Public registrations will be live around the 20th of May. If you are an old .wallet domain owner, you will receive an email. Or early next week, you'll be able to claim it, and then we'll open up registrations for everybody on .id website me and Falsi were working on, and Sam Ward as well.
Yes,
So the owners can have their own mini. People can register domains directly on your website, and this is that anybody can use the template Falsi shared, and probably HNS.ID Twitter will tweet about this more in depth. That anybody with TLDs minted or TLDs staked on HNS.ID can have their own mini registry and promote their TLDs for everybody and use this as a template.
So I don't know, maybe you don't know the answer, but could I use, like, you know how there's HNS.ID, you can use your SLD.Handshake.ID or HNS.ID. Could you do that with your wallet name .wallet.id?
Understand, Mike?
So there's if you put.
Are you talking about like a subdomain?
It works right now. You go to mike.hns.id. You'll see my profile right now.
Yeah, but what are you talking about? He's saying if you stake SID, you can then fork this website and have your own registry. Instead of telling people to go to hns.id to buy it, you can get like wallet.id and tell people to go there. You get it?
Yeah, I get it. I guess what I mean is I kind of use it as a hack of a resolver. Or actually, in MetaMask payment, you can do MetaMask with mike.hns.id in MetaMask, right? But I think for
You're mixing two concepts there, Mike.
yeah, I know I am. I
Yeah,
guess
I don't know what you're
clarifying if that would work, but I like that feature, so I don't know if that would work in this instance too. I know it's two separate things.
So to be clear, you're
I'm not
saying that you can have your, let's say you own .skyinclude, right? .id. You can bridge your skyinclude.id to ENS so that when users buy SLDs from you, they could essentially resolve as mike.skyinclude.id. This is one thing. This is bridging. The other thing is mini website on your mike.tld.id.
Yes, yeah, you're right. I mixed those two.
Is it possible? Currently not, but we are working on it so that websites resolve on HNSID domain. Currently, but our goal is to make it more accessible to other TLD owners as well. So as a built-in feature on HNSID. It's not. We are working on that feature for sure. So, for example, if .d owned d.id, they can then bridge that through HNSID to ENS so that it would automatically and honestly instantaneously work as the wallets. As of currently, if you don't have that domain bridged to ENS, what will happen is, for example, I have .bx, and if you own, let's say, yourname.bx, it will resolve as yourname.bx.hns.id. The owner, you want to simplify this as much as you can.
I mean, it's exciting. It's still complicated as even I'm still kind of trying to understand it myself. But basically, yeah, like HNSID is really using a lot of bridging with ENS. I mean, I think of course AOX is very experienced with ENS, so it's using a lot of this bridging in tech, and it's extending it to Handshake TLDs, right? Basically through the HNSID platform.
Have more DSLDs.
There's a bit of a delay there, Alex, but what my amateur interpretation of this is we're going to see some new tech rolling out with .wallet, and then people are going to hack it and have fun with it. Is that a fair summary?
But yeah.
All right. Well, I think that'll be really interesting. I saw that maybe we'll get some visuals or some videos soon, so that we can put some visuals to the concepts. I know that always helps me out quite a bit. And Anne was nice enough to link up the tweet from Fauci earlier today. So if we want to check that out, I think that'll be good. We're about 15 minutes in, I think, if it's all right. Does anyone have anything else they wanted to add on that?
I guess shout out to Scott, right? I mean, Scott stuck with it for 2 years almost in this limbo. So the owner of the .wallet TLD on Handshake.
Yeah, absolutely. And still.
And a huge shout out to Scott for his collaboration.
So is the pricing confirmed? Because I see pricing. Can we say it? Is that locked? Is that something that we can kind of like say here and lock in or talk about?
Is everything that's, I think it's like, let me see, because it
Where
has
are you seeing
changed.
pricing?
If you go
You
to
can see the TLD owner. You can see the TLD page.
you go to hns.id/domain/wallet/pricing. I don't know how to link here.
Okay, yeah, I didn't look at that. Yeah.
And it's showing 1 letter is $50 a year, 2 letter 25 a year, 3 10 a year, 4 5 a year, and 5 plus 1 a year US. Yeah, Migs, I think we go to the next topic then.
Yeah. All right. All right. Sweet. So we have. Let me just get my list back out. Other. Just a moment. I apologize. I got lost here. I got excited and then I got lost. I think quite frankly, kind of you guys, Mike, Andrew, if you want to give us some insights on, I mean, what are the first things we're seeing about the hackathon? We got people in person. We got, I think, obviously you guys traveled to get there. Sounds like it's going great, but like, what boots on the ground? What are we seeing?
Yeah, so I mean, I think Mike and Ann got arrived yesterday. Oh, same with Rithvik. And basically all the credit here really goes to Irene for organizing all this. But we also have Nathan coming in, from Nathan Woodburn, and Jackie Chan's coming in today. The from KyoCon. And as far as, I mean, there's like basically three objectives related to the hackathon. And so first, I mean, yeah, obviously Handshake has a very talented developer base, but I mean, what if we could kind of grow it to a few more within Handshake? So there are 15 separate teams that are that have been working on the on the hackathon prizes, and they range from email. There's a bunch of different variety of projects. I can't riff on that on the top of my head, but they mostly kind of like on the application layer of things. So, the hope is to increase the developer base of Handshake through like talented developers in Vietnam. And on that, and why, kind of like why Vietnam and why Asia kind of thing is, I was a few months ago. I was here. Well, I was in I was in Singapore and Malaysia for partly for Jupiter's launch. So in some context around Jupiter's DEX on Solana, and it was founded by Meow, who I've been friends with for over a decade, and also a contributor to Handshake, and he was launching his token, and so I traveled out there with Luke Belmar to kind of help promote help promote the launch, as well as to kind of like gain some insights on how they're launching this thing, and then how they built kind of that community. And what I noticed when I went to their office was basically like half their devs, I think, were in Malaysia and half the devs were in Vietnam. And this is supposedly like a Singaporean project, right? So I was like, oh wow, like I mean, all the developers on these projects, or a lot of the developers on these projects are in Vietnam. And so I thought like, I was talking to Irene, and I was like, hey, like wouldn't it be cool if we had like a Handshake hackathon? So anyway, that's kind of the origin stories of this of the hackathon. And so one of the goals is to increase developers in the ecosystem, and this could be a good way to do it. Second, I think this is the largest kind of, well, maybe not the largest, but it's like, it's a good time for Handshake stakeholders to kind of get together in person and chat about things and discuss various ideas to how to move the project forward, and so I thought that would be kind of a good thing to discuss, or a good thing to kind of like gather people. And so we have a lot of different people kind of flying in so that we can discuss these topics. Yeah, sorry, it's like 7 a.m. in the morning. I just woke up, so I'm rambling a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I said there's three. There's a third topic that we probably want to touch on, but I don't want to kind of take over this conversation.
No, I think that's really exciting to hear. You hear about hackathons in a lot of ecosystems, and I don't know, I think usually, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a developer myself, but usually the rumors start flying pretty early as to what people are working on, so maybe we'll start to get a little bit of alpha here in the coming days and see what comes out of it, as well as, developers hearing from each other should lead to some good things. So huge shout out to Irene and everybody traveling there and making it happen. I think that's where a lot of interesting things can develop. Anybody want to throw anything else on there while I pull up my list again? I think that if not, we did have some news this week. It's never, I don't think that it's ever not in the form of celebration, but sometimes you see news stories, or at least I've been seeing news stories that repeatedly kind of prove the reason for why an alternative DNS root zone could exist, or what some reasons for it are. And this week we saw one with a popular Bitcoin wallet dedicated to privacy called Samurai Wallet. SamuraiWallet.com specifically is the domain. If anybody saw that this has been this domain is no longer in existence, and I think that when you see really strong crypto native projects experiencing friction with DNS, it's going to force them to ask the question if there are alternatives, which may open up more opportunities for Handshake. Has anybody been following that story more closely?
I just wonder who pays the renewal fees. Does the FBI pay the renewal fee? Who's the registrar and registry of that domain now? I don't know. Do they pay the rate increases if the doc?
I think it stays the same. I don't think it changes when the domain gets seized like that. I think it just stays at whatever registrar it's at, and then they just point the domain to like some different server or
So
something.
FBI is still paying for the domain name.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, this happened. This isn't the first time it happened. If you guys remember, BTCE was an exchange that a lot of people were using as a centralized exchange, and one day, like they just put the FBI website. So basically, like anybody who had funds on that platform just weren't able to recover it because the FBI seized the domain. I mean, luckily, thankfully in this case, Samurai is a self-custody wallet, so it's not going to run into those issues. But like, yeah, I'm pretty sure like vast amounts of Bitcoin were basically stolen when they seized the BTCE domain.
Well, I don't think Handshake is really a complete solution to that either. Like right now it would be, but I think if Handshake were to get like crazy amounts of adoption and a website like a traditional ICANN domain gets seized, I think it would only be a matter of time before the government forces browsers to implement some new general blacklist, that then
Well,
can.
I mean, couldn't you still independently run a Handshake resolver like locally or something and still resolve the website? And then, yeah. I mean, to your point, like the
Yeah, but what I'm
problem
saying is like if they could force every browser, if you're going to put a browser to market, you have to implement this specific blacklist query before allowing the website to load or something. Like they could force you to do that, right? Like so that it doesn't matter if your browser resolves it or like or if your DNS query resolves it. It's just the browser can refuse to load it because it uses some FBI blacklist.
Sure,
You know?
but then there's like a bunch of browsers, so and anybody can fork Chromium, and like and
Oh, that's true. Of course, but that doesn't mean that they wouldn't put some law in place to say you need to look up this blacklist, you know, and you have to add this blacklist to your browser. It could happen.
yeah, I mean, I guess technically, I mean, I thought where you were gonna go was that they would just like seize the server, and or like, you know, take down the server from wherever that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, they go after servers, they go after, you know, any DNS hosting in between or whatever. But yeah, I just still think that even if you get around it with like Handshake or some other alt route, like they can still just force browsers to implement some new blacklist, and you'd be fucked anyway, no matter where it is, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it creates more of like a whack-a-mole situation for them, whereas like, you know, just seizing their domain is like, you know, on is pretty straightforward as it is right now.
Yeah, because the domain wouldn't be able to be seized, so they could just keep repointing it, or people could resolve it. It might get blocked on the front ends, but the back end core would still be not owned or
Yeah,
controlled by
and to
the
Eskimo's point, there could be
But
like
the
whack-a-mole
point is if you
browsers.
have to download, if you'd have to fork a browser yourself and remove a line of code just to visit a website, 99.99999% of the population is not going to do that.
Yeah,
So
unless
a
they have
blacklist
millions of dollars
in
on
the
that
browser.
exchange. I mean, this is, again, Samurai is a little different, but like in the case of BTCE, like, yeah, I definitely download a new browser to try to access, like, you know, access my money, right?
Well, yeah, for sure, but like you're a little bit more advanced than the average person. The average person would say I'm fucked and download another browser and say I'm still fucked, and use another browser and say I'm still fucked, because
Yeah.
if it were made by law that each browser needed to implement this blacklist, it doesn't matter what browser you
But
use. You'd have to use your own
which
browser.
law?
You
Which
know,
law, though? That's the big question. U.S. law? What?
I'm saying that it could be put into place.
What
You know,
law,
whether
though?
U.S. or EU or whatever the hell. Who knows? I don't know.
But I mean, what
I'm
do you
just saying.
think, though? That's
I'm just saying, this is a hypothetical discussion here. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Russian
saying
law,
if for some
Russian
reason
law.
Handshake were to blow up to that point, then it would be possible to add something into
The
a
main
browser.
point.
That's all
The
I'm
main
saying.
point is the U.S. government owns the internet right now. They own the internet. The American government owns
And they
the
own any company that exists in the U.S. With, you know, take Google is in the
exactly.
U.S., so they could say, hey, Google, implement this into Google
It
Chrome to
it leads
add the FBI
it leads
blacklist.
the
And that's it. Now anybody that
it
uses
leads
Chrome is fucked. Anybody that uses Chromium is
it
fucked.
leads to TikTok. It
Where's
leads to
Firefox
TikTok.
at?
TikTok's the same topic, right? TikTok wants to be owned by the U.S. government. They don't want to be owned by the Chinese government. It's all governments. It's not companies. It's governments. The U.S. government wants to control the internet and govern the internet, right? They want to tell ICANN take this domain offline. They want to tell this hosting company take this domain offline. The U.S. government wants to control and govern the internet.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. If they can't control ICANN because people are using something other than ICANN, then they'll just go right to the browsers. And the companies that make the browsers are in the U.S. And they'll force
Well,
them
yeah,
to
I mean,
implement
I
that.
mean,
And those browsers that are in the U.S., when you're talking about what the fuck, Edge or whatever, you're talking Safari, you're talking Edge, you're talking Chrome. That's 99% of all browsers that are actually used. And they
In
can just add the FBI
in
blacklist, and they
the
can
U.S.,
force those
there's
companies
lots
to
of
do it because they're all U.S.
there's
companies.
lots of
And
browsers
then
outside of the
everybody's
U.S.
fine.
that people use. Like in China, there's lots of browsers that they block most American browsers in China. China's like more people than America. This is the whole problem. People think America is the internet. This is the problem from the core. Honestly,
well, so hey, yeah,
I mean,
well, yeah, I have one
if you
more.
run a website that actually gets traffic, you can see the browsers that people are using. If you're talking like Edge, Safari, Google Chrome, and Firefox, that's literally every single browser that visits your website. There's like maybe a few outliers here and there, but those are the browsers that are hitting your website, and all of those are owned by U.S. companies. They can easily be
I mean,
forced to add a blacklist.
you don't have Chinese content on your website. I'm aware of that Chinese people go to. Maybe I'm wrong, but if you have Chinese content in your popular Chinese website, there's like 360.
No, but you can still look up like the most popular browsers and see it for like traffic for like Amazon, you know, and see the browsers that
But
you.
I think the main point is it's cracking. It's cracking. The concrete is cracking. They're trying to control and stop everything. They're going after TikTok. They're going after but people are going to start to use these non-U.S. government-owned and controlled companies and internets, and that's why they're all upset about TikTok, because they want to control and govern TikTok now.
Well, yeah, and also like Eskimo, if you make the argument that like the U.S. government can attack any kind of like decentralized or censorship resistant technology, I mean, you could basically say that about like anything, right? Like, and so then we're all fucked and we're all and everything's hopeless. Rather, if you framed this as, I mean, even like really realistically, like Bitcoin, right? If China and the U.S. government left every stone unturned, and just kind of like found every single way to attack Bitcoin, yeah, they could probably decimate Bitcoin. But with starting with mining infrastructure.
Of course, and what I'm saying is if they want to.
Right.
If they want to do it, then they can. I'm not saying that they will, I'm just saying that they can. But given the fact that they're obviously using ICANN to take down people's domains, you don't think if there was some new root zone being used that they wouldn't find an attack vector to take that down?
Yeah, so my point,
it would be the first thing they would do is they'd go to Google and say, add this blacklist, and it would be done.
No,
and then they pass some other law to force every other browser to follow.
I
Otherwise,
guess my
they take
point
down those
here,
browsers' websites. You get what I'm saying?
No, I know, I totally get your point. I totally get your point, but I guess what I'm saying here is that, like, as people building technology, or as like the best I think a technology can do is like, it's kind of like, I mean, I would say like increase the defense surface, right? Like, as like kind of like, I don't know if that's a real term or not, but like, I mean, basically like the inverse of attack surface, right? Like, it's making technologies that have a wider defense surface. And like how I would like analogize this is like, compared to like just fiat in a bank account, right? Bitcoin has a larger defense surface, right? Because in order, if you want to take Bitcoin down, you got to like, have a strategy to attack the full nodes. You've got to have a strategy to attack like the mining infrastructure, exchanges, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And because it's like, more decentralized than the banking system run by like one entity with a central bank, right? Whereas like like, I mean, I think when we talk about like ICANN versus Handshake, definitely is kind of like the similar analogy. Like, it increases the defense surface. So now, like you're saying, like, yes, you could attack the browsers, you could attack, and but there's like more things for them to have to attack. Because like to Mike's point, anybody could probably fork a browser, an open source browser implementation, run it outside the U.S., and probably even like publish the source code for the for the
Of course
browser.
they can, but
Yeah.
we're talking about general users not being able to access something, not a group of 20 developers. We're talking the average person is not going to fork a browser. The average person doesn't know what GitHub is, doesn't know how to open a terminal.
No, but they wouldn't have to. I mean, they could just have a package. They could just fork it and publish a package for Tarball or whatever for people to kind of to download. But yeah, I mean, my general point is like the best we can do is like
they can
increase
force
the
the virus
defense
scanners to
surface.
block it.
No, like
Yeah.
like I'm saying, you're making my point, because it's like they have to find more and more things. And like, by the way, the government isn't that technical; they move pretty slow. So like, all these things that they have to do, these are like, increasing the defense surface for what they have to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just saying it's really easy. It would be so easy just to say add a blacklist. That's all I'm saying. It'd be so easy.
But the point,
It would
I
take
think
minutes to implement, and it would be a pain in the ass for anybody, any average person, to do anything about it.
I don't know.
To get around it.
I'm just the opposite, I guess. Maybe I'm an optimist, but I think if the U.S. government or daddy and mommy tell me this is a bad place, don't go to this bad place, and more of these places are getting added to this bad place list, What do you do if your dad tells you don't do something? You want to do something. If your teacher, at least me, like if my teacher says don't do something, I'm going to want to do it. And daddy is getting, the list is getting bigger and bigger. So then the kids start to find solutions. And my first experience was when Twitter got blocked in China in 2008, and I was there. And yeah, sure, most Chinese people didn't, but there was Twitter screwed them. At least I don't think they cared, but they used to have OAuth 1.0, and then I could just spin up my own front end Twitter back in the day. And I'm not so technical, but I learned how to make forks of Twitter front end clients, and we would make front end clients, and we had uncensored Twitter.
Yeah, but you're way more technical than most. Most people are.
Well, the
like,
point is that it was in a community, though. I
as
just want, if
technical
I could
as
just
you
finish this. The others weren't as technical, and then they were just making groups and saying, "Hey, who can spin up another front end?" And then there was new front ends being spun up. The reason that all broke was Twitter upgraded their OAuth or their Twitter API to OAuth 2.0, and they forced us to go to twitter.com to log in. Before that, you could just log in with username and password on a front end client, but then they changed their OAuth, so it broke that whole thing. But we were just whack-a-mole, like Andrew says. It was like whack-a-mole. There was another one, and then the Chinese government banned it. They kept banning them, but we just kept getting new domain names and just spinning up another front end, ban another one. Then the community is like, "Where's the next one? Where's the next one? Where's the next one? Where's the next one?" That's what decentralization.
Sure, that's fine and that works, and I've seen that happen a million times with things in like the jailbreak community and stuff like that. Apple banning things, or certain apps preventing jailbreak tweaks from working, or preventing you from using an app when you're jailbroken. Everybody keeps coming up with a workaround. Great, but the thing that you don't realize is that the 99.999% of people outside of that community just say, "Shit, it's blocked. I can't use it."
Well,
You're in
I
the
mean, look,
small
like, I mean, I
subset.
think that's a very specific. Yeah, I mean, I do understand that analogy, and like Apple. I mean, Apple in this scenario is like way stronger than the government because it's like one ecosystem that they control. But like, but I mean, what Mike was saying kind of reminds me of like all the censorship and like cancellation of like of these like people who had dissident ideas. And like so like I mean, and I think the peak of cancellation was probably like right around the time of COVID. And so they were basically like kicking people off like Twitter, Instagram, etc. Off of like any platform where people had different opinions than what the government wanted you to say about like the about coronavirus. And yeah, and like I definitely like the Twitter files and things like that, like exposed a lot of like kind of what was happening behind the scenes. But eventually they kind of stopped with that, right? Like you can see like there's way more dissident opinions available like on Twitter and even Instagram today, because what happened was people got like sick of it, and there was like this huge overreach of cancellations, and the blacklist kept growing and growing and growing to the point where like you could start a real company just on the blacklist, like Rumble, right? Or Truth Social or something, where basically it was like a whole, like the blacklist was so large that there's a market just for an alternative solution to a blacklist. And of
Oh,
course the average user couldn't go and fork YouTube, couldn't go and fork Twitter. Like the average user couldn't do it, but like once one company or one set of developers decided like, hey, we're going to do that, it actually became an opportunity. Now Rumble's a public company, Truth Social is also a public company, that they're basically like rewarded for serving this market. And so yeah, I mean, going back like to like this blacklist example, yeah, like if they blacklist Samurai, yeah, people may not care. If they blacklist like a few other things, but as that there's a threshold to which this blacklist survives before it creates like a brand new market and an opportunity for like some entrepreneur or with the to kind of like create a market based off that blacklist. So going back to the original.
I get what you're saying. I'm just still saying that it's then still a small subset of people that'll actually follow along with the, let me get around this, and let's get the next step to get around this, and the next step to get around with. Most people just give the fuck up and say, I don't need this then. It's just not worth my time. That's all I'm saying. They will take out like
No, yeah, it will
everything,
definitely works. I mean, from their
it'll just be a
perspective,
small
like they can.
community of people, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm
yeah, it's
saying.
fine.
It's essentially us. We're a small community, and that's it. That's all it would ever be if they.
So there was another cool part. Greg Osiri from Akash was talking to me once about it, and he says it's disaster recovery, right? So if you have the Samurai wallet on .com, because it's easy and every idiot that has a Chrome browser can open the website, uses it. But if you have Samurai wallet on Handshake, and then if Samurai wallet on DNS or ICANN gets taken down, you can still at least communicate something to the users. Maybe not everyone, but there's these more advanced technical could at least be able to get the message through. It's like a beacon. It's like a broadcast. You know, at least you have some way to communicate. But now there's no way to communicate. The complete voice has been totally shut down. There's no backup. There's nothing. I mean, some people say like Handshake is kind of at least like a disaster recovery backup for now until maybe it does get mass adoption. But at least you have some way to communicate. That's a thought.
I wanted a quick thought here because I think I mentioned it and maybe didn't give too much completion. The way that I see this is, I agree with the whack-a-mole, right? It's an additional barrier. It also is a disaster recovery tool, and it's also not like a perfect solution wrapped in a bow that's going to save the internet tomorrow. But it's an evolutionary process. The more that you have people trying to decentralize or cover their bases, eventually it becomes something that's very hard to stop. And I think Andrew's analogy right there with Rumble was a really, really good point. You have a few outliers that understand what's going on. They try to solve for it. You have some that aren't technical, but then eventually somebody creates a whole company based around just that base, and it becomes more popular. Like, no technology works the first time. Like, the first version of everything sucks. The first iPhone sucked. Like, everything sucks. But as the barrier of entry,
but still a small community. I've heard of Rumble, but I don't even know what it
but
is. So that's the point.
But
It's
sure,
a tiny
but
community.
we're talking. That's the same thing happened with a personal computer, right? You had to have a boatload of money and understand why the hell this ugly thing needed to be in your house, right? And but evolutions of it eventually made the barriers of entry, which were typically financial and technical, lower and lower and lower until your average person said, there is a benefit to this and it's not that hard to use. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I think it's very, very early. That's why people make a lot of analogies of Bitcoin, and we're handshakes at Bitcoin 2012 or something like that. And I think that those are not far fetched. This is going to be a very long road, but as things continue to crumble around Handshake and it's still standing, it will become a more and more appealing solution. I believe in that, and I don't think that's like blindly positive either. I think it's realistic. That's how things work.
What was it? Didn't Uniswap just get a letter from the government, one of those governments, about it? And they're fighting it. But if Uniswap loses that argument, they're just going to get taken off. You'll see the FBI notice on their website, uniswap.org. Why wouldn't that happen? If they don't listen to what the U.S. government tells them, they'll be FBI.
Sure, that's what I'm just saying. If all these websites get taken down and then they're just operating now because of Handshake, you can't just believe that the government isn't going to find a way to just say, look, we need to block Handshake domains then, or we need to block these specific Handshake domains. If we can't take them down with ICANN because they're not using ICANN anymore, we need to take them down on this new system. And if the only way is to block it in a browser or something like that,
I
they're
mean,
going to do it.
I don't know. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like the pattern, and I agree that they have the capability to do that. They can do that, but like I don't think like for some reason like they in practice it doesn't seem like they do like that, because as long as they like affect like 90% of the population and stop them from using it, like they seem relatively content with that. For example, right, like when they kicked Trump off Twitter,
Oh,
right,
and yeah,
and like
I agree with you. What I'm saying is if it's Uniswap and then it's this other wallet and then it becomes basically all crypto things, they block the actual domains and then they all use Handshake. Now you're talking about, hundreds of millions of users using Handshake. That's when they might attack Handshake then and just build that blacklist, like I'm saying, into a browser.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
saying right
So
away.
I mean, look, I think that's
I'm
really
saying
the
if it
best.
grows big enough, that can happen.
Like
It would be, yeah, it would be a great thing for Handshake if that happens. Honestly, it would be. I'm not saying it as a bad thing. I'm just saying at some point, if it does grow, the U.S. government can start trying to attack Handshake in the
all
browser.
right. Is there
That's
any
all I'm saying.
technology that the U.S. government can attack?
I mean, by a U.S. company, no. I mean, they can
Okay,
attack anything.
so then your point is
It's
like,
a US
I mean,
company.
your whole point is like the U.S. government can attack, but there's nothing like there's nothing
But
like.
there is though. They're
All right, what
attacking
is it?
domains via ICANN. It's something that they're already doing. You don't think that they would just expand what domains they intersect?
No. So no.
I mean, that just
Answer the
sounds
question.
stupid to say.
DNS and not DNS, Handshake, whatever. Is there any technology? Is there anything actually, just or anything in general, that the U.S. government can't attack?
Again, like I said,
If they
if
put
it's a U.S.
set their
company,
mind to it.
they can. If it's a U.S. company, yes, they have control to make that company do whatever the hell they want.
Okay, is there anything on the internet they can't attack? So I mean, look, like the thing is like, all right, if you just take that like view that like, hey, the U.S. government can attack any technology, right? Then like, what's
Yeah,
the
but
point of
again,
debating?
you're
Why not just succumb?
yeah, but you're because you're looking at it like they're not going to do it. Like they've never taken a domain away before. It's still a domain, and they've taken away plenty of domains. They have a history of doing
No,
this.
forget the
This isn't
domain
like saying,
part. Like, is there?
oh, they could take down this, they could take down that. Yes, they could do whatever the hell they want, and yes, they usually don't. But in this situation with domains, they like to shut down domains. They like to revoke people's access to accessing domains, right? Why do you think that they're not going to fucking try to remove people's access to Handshake domains? I mean, that's just a stupid thought.
Okay, I mean, like, if the argument is like, hey, the U.S. government can do something about any technology, then there's like no point in anything.
You're missing the point. You're missing the point. It's not anything. It's domains, which they specifically attack already. It's something they're already doing.
No.
It's not
Look.
like saying, hey, they could stop you from going on eBay and buying used products. They're not doing that, right?
Yeah,
But
they are. They've
attacking-
done plenty of things to interrupt commerce, right? Interrupting commerce, you could say, like, is the thing that they
Look,
do.
it,
Or you could
dude,
say
it's
like
just a random.
canceling people on Twitter or descending voices is something that they do. There's plenty of examples of all of that, right?
Random examples like that. Okay, if they don't like Guitar Center, they could shut down Guitar Center, right? Sure, they can do it. Are they doing it? No. But what I'm saying is specifically domain names, they've shown that they care about removing people's access to websites via domain names. Why would you think that if Handshake blows up the hundreds of millions of users, that they won't try to find a way to revoke people from accessing Handshake?
Well, there's
that's just
there's CCTLDs. I mean, those aren't governed by ICANN, right?
I know. No, any TLD is governed by ICANN.
No, CCTLDs, like country TLDs, like .ca.
Those are still run. Those are run by ICANN.
No,
ICANN runs them. They're on their ICANN root servers.
No, they're not. They're not. They're governed by by respective countries. So, like, I think you're talking about Verizon, which governs .com, right? CCTLDs.
Very fine.
They can't be shut down by. They can't be shut down. You can have any country in the world that has their own domain name, and
yes, each country can have their own TLD and their own registry, but the root server is still through ICANN. It would be like saying if you buy a .de domain, the FBI can't take it. They can take it because the root server is still ICANN, and ICANN is an American company, and they can control it. They can still take that domain away. It doesn't matter if it's a CCTLD. Every single TLD in the world, it goes through ICANN.
I can't think of any CCTLD that has been taken down by ICANN.
Look, again, maybe they don't, maybe they won't, but they could, is what I'm saying.
Well,
ICANN is still a U.S. company, and the U.S. can control ICANN, and every one of those CCTLDs still goes through the ICANN root servers. They can shut it down, is my point.
Well, you need some sort of governance, though. I mean, like, you need something, or you need someone to oversee something. You can't just have everything, wild card.
I don't know what you're saying.
Well, I mean, so ICANN is ICANN governs. So you're saying ICANN governs domains. They can take down any domain name. They don't. They propagate, like, they're in charge of every domain that comes across the internet, but they don't shut down domain names. It's the respective registrar that shuts down domain names, or that can.
No, it's the U.S. restricting it from ICANN. ICANN removes control of the domain entirely. It's through ICANN. It's not through the registrar most of the time. What I'm saying is it's above. I think the registrar actually has to do something, but it's actually it's ICANN that has the final say. If the registrar doesn't comply, ICANN can do it. A registrar doesn't actually have anything special. They're basically, when you register a domain with Namecheap, Namecheap is then just connecting to ICANN servers and saying, hey, I'm Namecheap, register this domain, and here's who it's registered to. That's it. And then it's pointing that domain to Namecheap. That's all that's happening there. That domain is still on ICANN. It's not on.
I guess, I don't know. I haven't looked into this for many years, but you can be in a non-accredited ICANN registrar. You can run extensions without having anything to do with ICANN.
No, not through ICANN. You can't.
Really?
Everything is through ICANN.
I have to go back to I have to do some research on that then. I've come across extensions. I mean, it's just ICANN accredited. All they are is an accreditation company. So, like, if it allows you to say, hey, we've been accredited through ICANN, but it doesn't. It's not really ICANN that allows the
when you get accreditation to be a registrar, you're talking about becoming a registrar. Yes, you just basically sign a contract, and now they give you access to registered domains on ICANN. That's all that is. You're doing it through ICANN. It's all through ICANN.
I thought it was a different organization that actually.
No, and also, if you want to talk about domains that have been seized that aren't .coms or American things, have a look at the 100 domains that have been seized from the Pirate Bay, and a lot of those were not .coms or .nets.
I do think they are more controlled by those governments. They do have the governments have. There's a guy in Handshake.
But ICANN had the final
really
say.
upset about, I think, .pt, like Portugal maybe, or some and he was really upset because that government didn't want that political party to win, and they took their domain from them, or whatever. It was like a political.
The Spanish government did not want the Catalan domain, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something.
But I think that both of those last points make a good point. Censorship is not only going to come by the U.S. government. Historically, it's actually been one of the freer ones, and Handshake, as it states in the white paper, I believe, is an experiment, right? An experimental alternative to DNS. It's not perfect. It's not curing cancer tomorrow, but it does provide some alternatives, and I think more freedom of choice for more people is generally kind of one of the ethos of crypto. One thing we've been in here a little while now. Not something we usually get to talk about, and I know a lot of people here are highly technical and maybe are not price action focused, but we do have an interesting week. I have no idea what's going on. There's been a lot more volume with the token, which I think is interesting. Does anybody, since the halving, we haven't really seen any price action. Does anybody have thoughts on what may be going on there? Is there another exchange coming? Is there anything going on that might be generating interest? Do we think it's maybe the DPIN space as a whole becoming more popular? Anybody have insights there? Maybe not.
No.
That's okay. I was wanting to see if we wanted to cover any other topics. The TLDs in general.
I guess I want to go back to that. I know it's a little bit, but I think it's a big point. But I recommend people listen to the Tucker Carlson interview of the founder of Telegram. It's like a 1 hour one last week. I tuned into that, and in the interview, he speaks about how when they got kicked out of Russia, they went all around the world looking for some new home to register Telegram, and one, of course, was U.S. or San Francisco, and the founder says he met Jack Dorsey at Twitter, and then he got jumped, and his phone got almost robbed. And but that was not the worst. He says the worst was the FBI was like monitoring him and his team. They Again, you can listen to it yourself, but basically he says that the FBI, or whatever the government bureau, what it was, wanted to make sure that they had like kind of a backdoor or access to the data of Telegram. They wanted them to get specific open source libraries.
That happens to basically every single big company. The U.S. government has access to basically every fucking website's database, man.
And so the point of that is, I don't know. I still am conflicted about how I feel about Chinese censorship. It really affected me negatively for many years. But I do see why they did want to make their own internet, and they want to block U.S. government-owned websites. And it's kind of hypocritical in a way, because U.S. doesn't want China to have their own internet companies that they get the data of. And
that's exactly what it is. Yeah, China wants to get all the Chinese users' data, and the U.S. wants to get all the users' data, but they each don't want each other to get each other's residents' data. That's really it.
Yeah, so the point is, that's what I believe Handshake is trying to solve. One of the main points I liked about it was it's trying to be a global root zone, not a U.S. owned or influenced ICANN root zone. Because basically, it seems like ICANN will bend the knee to the U.S. requests, but not other requests. I mean, that's how I see it.
They're a U.S. company, and all the companies that run the root servers, you could look on the ICANN site and see like the list. I mean, you got VeriSign, you got Komodo, you got a bunch of companies you probably never heard of. NASA runs one of the root zones, and I think the U.S. Army runs one of them. I mean, you could look at it, you could see the list. It's all American companies. So that's the thing. If they control the entire internet because they control ICANN, and then every single company that runs root servers for ICANN is also a U.S. company or part of the U.S. government. There's no getting around it.
Well, I mean, the point is, I think the American empire.
And then all the big browser companies that you use are also owned by U.S. companies, and the operating systems you run are owned by U.S. companies. So you see what I'm saying? They could just shut you down without the root zone.
I think they're weakening. I don't know if anybody here agrees. I think if you had to bet U.S. economy and government is going to get stronger or weaker over time, I would bet weaker. I believe Russia, China, Brazil, Vietnam will grow, and the U.S. will decline, and that means their strength and power of overlord owning the whole internet will decline. And I believe there'll be more browsers. Wasn't it Sajin that says the Indian government is granting tons of money to make Indian-owned browser? And he was trying to get a Handshake person to make it Handshake Resolver. You don't think all these governments that are getting richer and bigger and stronger are wanting to not be owned and governed by the U.S. government and the U.S. dollar? I mean, it seems pretty clear to me.
Yeah. Yeah, but then again, obviously I was saying the browser that's the next logical attack vector, since they're all owned and run on, by U.S. companies. If they needed to go a step above that, they could simply just get the operating system to do it as well. If you look at all the companies that own all the operating systems, most Linux, you got Mac, you got Windows, basically all those are owned and run by U.S. companies. So they could just say, add this blacklist.
We outsource all that to U.S. to China, dude. China has all this spyware is installed on all that crap. You don't think China's monitoring? That's why the U.S. government wants to block a lot of Chinese hardware companies. I mean, I've dealt with it firsthand. I mean, I've lived in censorship for like 15 years in China. They block at the hardware level. They don't even block at the software level. I have crappy, shitty Chinese phones I bought that are totally censored at the hardware level. It's true.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. The first step would be browsers, if they could. If they couldn't do browser, they would go to the operating system, which are all run by U.S. companies. And on top of that, yeah, I mean, they could force the hardware companies to do something or try to, but yeah, most of them are outside of the U.S. But they could at least get Apple, which is a U.S. company, you know? Unless Apple decides to leave the U.S., which probably will never happen. But if they did, then they could get away with not following
I guess the
US
point is, I think the
regulations.
American empire is on decline, and it's just a short-term hiccup, and that they can still control the whole.
The entire world is on a decline, honestly.
Nah, I think there's a
So
lot
I
of,
can't agree with you
man,
there.
there's heavy. I would recommend looking into Asia. It's still growing fast here. I was just in Bangkok at a conference. I'm here in Hanoi. It's and you can read Balaji book. You know, like it's basically the U.S. empire is collapsing. It doesn't happen overnight. It's going to be like 100-year decline, but it's not growing, and it's not going to grow. I'm not there. I'm not investing in there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I mean, I do, you know, to a certain degree. I mean, I still believe in the American dream and all that, but like, but yeah, you can definitely sense that when you're in a lot of these, like, yeah, what Balaji calls ascending countries versus descending countries, that it is way more vibrant. You see like a lot of kids, young people on the streets, which is, you know, sharp contrast to the U.S. and Europe, where definitely you see like more older people, and like you don't see as many kids anymore and things like that.
And emoji TLDs, a Handshake is the only one, right? You can't get an emoji TLD, or even I don't know about non-English language. I'm not sure if there's ICANN ones that are for like Chinese language and such. Maybe there are a few, but it's not as common, right? So I always walk around these when I visit India, Vietnam, Thailand, China. Why do they have to put English characters in their domain? That's why they don't even use domains. I think a lot of them, they don't like to put like English character setting on their keyboard. So it's just a global internet, and that's what I like about Handshake personally.
There are regular international domains on ICANN too, though. Not just Handshake. Like Punycode domains, you can have those on ICANN.
Yeah,
I don't think you can have emoji specifically, but
yeah, I do think there are some Chinese ones. Maybe there's some others, but it's true. It's not as common.
Definitely not as permissionless. Is what I would add there. You can't just be some guy in his garage who's setting up emoji domains like I was in 2020.
wow.
Other than the .ws, I think is a big deal. There was some guy who flew over to a country in Africa that allowed to register them. He was from the States. He did this like in 2013 or something, and bought up a bunch of emoji domains. He was sure that they were going to take off. I don't think he was wrong. I think he was early. But I'm a big fan of emoji domains, as I think anybody who knows me is aware of. I've also seen them get a little bit more popular in ENS, which seems to be. I'm not in ENS, but there seems to be some people that are getting like way more bullish on them, and a lot of people that are getting over it. I think the renewals are very expensive, which is another benefit to Handshake. The renewals are extremely cheap compared to what it costs on ETH. So having a dedicated chain is another thing that I always get really excited about.
Yeah, I almost let my .eth drop, but then like I realized like I don't know, I don't want to let it drop, because then if somebody for some reason tries to send something to my .eth, that then it would go to someone else that registers it. Like, but I really don't want to pay. When I first got it, like it was more expensive, so I just did like SKMO because I couldn't get Eskimo.eth. And now I really don't want to pay the expensive renewals on a 4-character one.
Yeah, I think that is, and that's also kind of a good built-in strategy, is that it forces you to reconsider, kind of like anything else that's valuable in the what we would call the physical world. If you have a bunch of land and there's taxes you need to pay on it, you start reconsidering if you really need all that land. Maybe you parse up a piece and you sell it off, and now more people have access to that desirable asset. So I think I think that's a little bit interesting. All right, let's see. Does anybody want to come on stage that's not on stage? Okay. Maybe not.
Okay, so yeah, Eskimo, I did a little bit of just the digging. It's been a long time since I looked it up. But look, you're right, which is a really big surprise, actually. No, I'm just kidding. It was IANA that used to be. They're a branch of ICANN now. So ICANN owns them. So yeah, essentially, you're right. ICANN is in charge of all this crap. Well, there's no workaround. We're all screwed. It used to be you used to be able to, like, ICANN used to be like a certain branch, and then CCTLDs and certain extensions. It was IANA that was in charge of the roots and resolving domain names, but they're a branch of ICANN now. So it's ICANN that says yay
No,
or
they were
nay,
never in charge of the
whether or
root, man.
not
ICANN has always been the root for them. The only thing about the CCTLDs is that they're allowed to then run their own registry, so it doesn't have to go through any specific. But I mean, that's kind of always a thing. Any TLD gets to run their own registry. You get a TLD, you choose what registry provider you want to use. A lot use like 2cows or something. You know, it's a thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it has to. That registry also has to be given the okay by someone like ICANN, and ICANN is the only people that can do that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just how it's been.
Like say for who is, or if you want to give a who or
yeah, but you have to
anything,
think
or
about how
have
it actually
resolved.
works, man. When you let's say you're a country, you set up a CCTLD, you set up a registry. What that really means is you're getting ICANN to approve it, and then ICANN points that TLD on the ICANN root zone to your registry provider, and then your registry provider can then provide domains for your users on that. So it all goes through the root zone. The root zone is the whole internet. You get what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So they can have their own registry, and they
see
can govern all of the domains that are sold. But when it comes down to it, ICANN really has the final say because they have full control over every country's domains if they really want to.
They do.
I'm sure they have contracts that say they don't touch them, but they technically could, is what I'm saying.
No, they do. But when it comes down to like stuff getting pulled off of the internet and getting blocked, it doesn't necessarily go to ICANN, does it? Like, doesn't it go to the actual registrar, like GoDaddy?
It'll go through the registrar first. Yes, they'll go to the registrar and they'll try to seize the domain like that. If they get a registrar like, say, Namecheap, who seems to fight a lot of those things, then they could go to ICANN and try to get, like, you know, an executive order above Namecheap, who is a partner of ICANN, who signed a contract that basically says, if we disagree with something, we agree that ICANN can override us if they decide to. You know, like, that's how it all works.
ICANN's not going to deal with the domain name, though. They're going to deal with an entire register, with an entire extension. You know, ICANN's not going to say, "Hey, Handshake." You know.
Yeah, but the thing is when you register a TLD with ICANN, ICANN has the right to do it. That doesn't mean that they will, but part of your contract with them is that they have the right to override your bad decisions, essentially.
I've never seen that. I can't think of one example that if you can show me.
They usually don't even have to, though, because the thing is if it, like, for example, with the Pirate Bay, every country wanted to block the Pirate Bay, so it didn't matter what CCTLD they went to. The U.S. would then say, "Hey, looks like the Pirate Bay is on your CCTLD. Can you ban them?" And they would say, "Yeah, we don't want that shit here," and they'd fucking ban them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
the
governments can communicate with each other.
They're not banning the CCTLD. They're banning the domain name.
The domain name, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're not banning, like, you know, it's not like they're going to say now you can't use .com, you can't use .whatever, .cn. or .ug, or they're not taking away the entire extension. That's not what ICANN does.
I don't know what you're talking. I don't know why you're talking about taking away an entire extension, but they could remove a TLD from the root zone if they wanted to. Just like they added it. It's a contract that's signed that put the TLD there in the first place. They could easily revoke that contract. Wasn't there a thing where they were talking about removing the Russia TLD? Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, I remember there was even Namecheap, which doesn't really support Russia, didn't like that idea of, I don't know who was requesting it, but there was some discussions of unrooting .ru. I think it was Ukraine.
Yeah,
Ukraine was the one trying to say that should happen, and I think even ICANN.
Yeah, obviously it's not going to happen, and sure, ICANN will say no, but there's a process there where, sure, Russia signed a contract with ICANN, and they could say fuck your contract and turn it off. You know what I mean? They could.
Yeah.
ICANN really does have full control of everything, and it's really designed for the U.S. government to have full control of everything. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying where it's clear that the U.S. government wants access to domains so they can stop people from accessing certain content. It's very possible that they would find an alternate way to stop people from accessing that content, be it a browser or an operating system or on a hardware level. If they really wanted to, they could do it.
With Handshake, the unique thing about Handshake is that, I mean, we've got what, 10 million over now? Like, I mean, how many months has it been over 10 million? So 10 million TLDs. I mean, it would have to be TLD by TLD. So it would have to, like, how do you do that? How do you'd have to block an entire protocol.
No, what I'm saying is it would be whatever is being used. For example, if the Pirate Bay gets the Pirate Bay, they could block the entire the Pirate Bay if they wanted to. If the Pirate Bay gets Pirate Bay.c, they could simply just block that one domain. What I'm saying is they wouldn't need to go to the registrar if they don't want to, because they could simply force a browser to implement a blacklist, and they could just say, let's add the Pirate Bay.anything to this blacklist. Now it doesn't matter what Handshake TLD the Pirate Bay tries to use, because the Pirate Bay.anything gets blocked. You get what I'm saying?
So
they can do whatever they want.
I get what you're saying.
In the browser,
we need a non-US based browser.
But then again, they could go one step further if they wanted to your operating system, which is owned by Microsoft or Apple, both California or Washington companies. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. They could simply just have those on a system level. Anytime there's any sort of query for one of those to just implement that blacklist check, they can do it. And sure, somebody could write a software that you can run that could block that blacklist check. Sure, it's possible, but I'm just saying there's nothing to say that they wouldn't go above ICANN if they needed to for an instance like Handshake and to go to the browser or go to the system level.
No, there'd have to be an extraordinary. I mean, why do that though? Like
the same reason that they got into ICANN, and they're basically, the U.S. government basically runs ICANN. They want to control what you access. They want to be able to revoke access if they want to. That's
well, they're getting there already. I mean, they've implemented.
And what I'm saying is,
we're based on Bitcoin.
So what I'm saying is, if all the big websites stop resolving on ICANN domains and start resolving on Handshake domains, and now you have hundreds of millions of Handshake users, you best believe they're gonna fucking get their hands in Handshake. That's all I'm saying.
I don't doubt it. They'll find it. There'll be a way. They'll find a way, but
they'll find a way, and it'll likely be either browser would be the easiest. Browser would be the easiest, then operating system would be the next, and then ISPs would be the next, because each step up would require more.
Well, it would be the ISPs, but I mean, can you shut down Bitcoin?
No, it wouldn't be ISPs.
You can't shut down.
It would
Bitcoin.
be much more. It would be much more decentralized, and it would be on a country-by-country basis with hardware and ISPs. It would not be like a global U.S.-owned government internet anymore.
Well, yeah, I think you could shut down Bitcoin in theory. I mean, couldn't you just simply write nodes that just connect and get all the peers and then just block all the peers' IPs? or like the full
Like,
node
yeah,
IP?
I mean, like, yeah, I mean, this goes back to my original point. Like, there isn't, like, if you just keep thinking about things in terms of like, hey, the U.S. government could hinder this. Like, there's really, like, all of this is really pointless.
There's no
But
there's
what
nothing
seems
that's
to work
foolproof.
But what seems to work is that, you know, and as a general strategy is just, you know, increasing the defense surface, the different things that they'd have to do to you know, kind of hinder a system, and eventually you get to a point where, yeah, of course, like even with Bitcoin, yeah, we can sit here and strategize how they could take down Bitcoin, but they eventually just
I
kind of
get
give
that,
up.
and that's hard. That's hard to do. But simply writing Google a letter saying, "Hey, we need you to query FBI.com/API fucking domain and see if we say yes or no before showing the user that website." I mean, that would take 2 lines of code in Google Chrome and, you know, just a simple API from the FBI. I mean, that's not the hardest thing in the world to implement. They could do that very easily if they wanted to.
But it
Yeah, but then there's
goes,
a workaround with new browsers and blah blah blah. I mean, it just keeps going, and so you're basically my point is, like, all we can do as technologists or people that promote, you know, freedom, is just increase the kind of
Well,
the
yeah.
complexity to which
And I'm
you have to
saying,
shut
sure,
down the
you can make a
system
new
as much as
browser that's
possible.
outside of the US, but then your computer is either a fucking Windows computer or Mac computer or Linux, and most Linux distributions are, you know,
Yeah, no,
run by a
we're
company.
basically, yeah, we're
I'm just
repeating
saying,
things that we've already said, and I
you
don't really want to do that,
yeah,
but
I understand it. It's just you're talking about like a couple browsers that are in the
it's
US, like less than 10, and then you're talking about operating systems where there's basically less than
we
10.
could
So,
also talk about
yeah,
AI.
you can make a new
You can
browser.
also throw AI.
You can make a new browser.
It's also the importance of AI right now.
Huh?
You know, quote unquote open AI, which I think Elon Musk says is not open API or open whatever.
Well, it's not open. It's open to anybody can use it, but so is any
But
product.
the algorithm behind the scenes. So that's why there's such a huge push for decentralized AI algorithms, because it's going to be owned and controlled by like open AI. And the same thing, then the U.S. government can just control AI. It's the same. We as a community should be trying to get more people to use decentralized.
They probably already are.
Yeah, I know that's the problem. You know, I mean that's the problem.
You think OpenAI is choosing to specifically censor certain things? No, the government's making them, of course.
So the point is, I mean, all
All
these
I'm saying is,
things.
anytime something gets big enough, the government will find a way around it. That's it.
I don't know. All I'm saying is I hope and believe there's gonna be more and more global internet solutions. You know, of course, Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, they own everything, and the U.S. government owns them. But I don't think that's going to be like that for, I don't know, forever.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said if they go to an operating system level, if the browser block doesn't work, that's where you're going to have trouble, because besides Windows and Mac, there's very few people that use anything else, and even a lot of Linux distributions are run by U.S. companies. So like, you'd really need a brand new operating system, and that would take fucking 5 years or more to develop,
But
and
yeah, I mean,
it would have to be
you're
outside of
just
the U.S. and
highlighting
so
it.
on.
This is the sad reality. You're just highlighting this. It's so sad. Isn't this a horrible world we live in? And I'm
Oh, it is. It sucks. It
it
sucks.
sucks, right? I mean, I don't like this. I don't want this. You know. So I mean, that's what we're trying to. We're there's 25 people in this space, but we're trying to give more opportunities to the next generation. This is not something that's going to be changed in the short term. This is a long term thing, right? Like Meg says, it's like Bitcoin 2012. I mean, yeah, to change this, it's not easy. It's not going to be fast, but we have to try it one by one person at a time. And there's also that. What's that saying? There's like slowly, then all at once. I think that's a Chinese saying. But yeah, I mean, it is, and like Andrew says, when they keep blocking and blocking and blocking, then it becomes a market in itself to serve those blocked solutions, right? And
Of course, and that's what I was saying, but each layer up makes that solution much harder to obtain. Sure, in the beginning, if the first block is a browser, you make a new fucking browser. You fork Chromium, you fucking make a company outside of the US, and you hope the US doesn't have a treaty and doesn't fucking get that country to also block it, right? But if you have to go above the browser, now you're talking years and years and years and years and years of development to build a brand new operating system that isn't backdoored by the US. Good luck, you know? It's not as easy. And then if you have to get to a level above that, it's even
I don't think
harder.
anybody here is saying it's easy. I don't, but I think we're just trying.
I'm just saying like whack-a-mole makes it sound like, oh, they could, you could get around it in 10 seconds. That's not necessarily the case. It can take months to develop a browser. It can take years to develop an operating system. So yes, you can get around it and you can fucking, be up and running again, but how long? A year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? You don't know. Each time they block, it could take another 10 years before you figure it out. That's all I'm saying. If they want to shut it down, they can shut it down, and it's not whack-a-mole per hour.
DeFi is under attack in America, right? They don't want decentralized finance in America. They want KYC finance in America. And there's some tweet, I don't know how to pin or tweet here, but 5 hours ago, I think it was somebody just tweeted, any exchange in America that doesn't KYC is illegal. Something like this. So there's no decentralized finance that exists in the U.S. internet, which is ICANN, which is basically meaning everything's going to get blocked in the long term if they don't KYC. So Uniswap's going to need, you're going to have to get KYC on Uniswap for it not to get blocked on US.
Well, hopefully we have a change in administration in November, and Trump's back in office, and maybe things change because this administration's pretty aggressive when it comes to all these
things they're doing now
topics.
are really just for political reasons for the fucking upcoming election. That's it. The whole TikTok ban, that's just to try to make Biden look good.
Is it? I mean, I don't think a lot of Americans are.
Oh, 100%. If you look at all the things he's been doing in the past couple months, it's all leading up to the election. He's trying to fucking get these people
that or
happy
the
for this,
war.
these people happy
I mean,
about
I think
that.
there's a strong argument it's related to the war. The war in Palestine, Gaza.
Yeah, I think they want to filter stuff on TikTok about Palestine, right? That's why they want it.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the top trending political tweets in the U.S. Or TikToks or whatever they call it over there, I've looked at some statistics. They all relate to that.
So I think that it's like the Jewish groups don't like that, and they tell the U.S. government to take it off, and they can't tell TikTok, which is owned by ByteDance, which is a Chinese company, to take it off. So Biden reads a prompt on a teleprompter to say, if you don't sell to a U.S. company that will then filter Palestine TikToks, we're going to block you, basically.
Yeah, and that's fucked up that they're able to do that, but yeah.
Megs, you have your hand raised? You're the host, man. I see a hand raised there.
Yeah, jump in.
That
man.
wasn't me.
I'm not even looking, so I can't tell.
No, wasn't me. Getting in my car here.
Oh, you have the hand raised emoji on your thing there. All right, well, we're an hour and a half in. I hope this is helpful. There's also, like we said, there's new people. Meant to be an open platform. I mean, there's been just kind of a handful of us up on stage, but if there's others that want to come up, it would be great. Your perspectives, your thoughts, or if there's other topics.
I am out of topics for the time being. I'm excited to see what new exciting topics come out of Vietnam this week.
Yeah, we're super excited. We're just getting in. I think Nathan Woodburn's on his second connection. He'll be here later today, but it will start technically.
Wait, Andrew said there were 15 teams? That's a bigger turnout than I was expecting.
So, yeah, I mean, Irene's worked super hard. She's got a whole team here. I haven't gotten to see her yet since I've gotten here. I just got here just about less than 12 hours ago or so. But yeah, she's.
Yeah, I was expecting a smaller thing. I didn't realize it was going to be,
hundreds
that big.
Of course, Vietnam's huge and right near a university. So she strategically wanted to be near a university. So I think a lot will be students. And they're going to be like 100, 200 of them. And then there'll be a handful of us OG handshakers that came in, like Andrew mentioned. I can't wait to meet Rithvik in person, and Nathan and some others I haven't gotten to meet. But yeah, it's a great initiative, and we should do more. Yeah, like these in-person things. HandyCon was always online, but we should try to even have that somewhat offline, in person, because that's more. It's very powerful to meet people. Anne's here. So yeah, we're really excited for that, and we'll of course share. And we want to try to live stream some of it, right? I think we'll get back to people which part or when they could see. I think the Sunday judging, it's 2 full days, Saturday and Sunday, of the event. So yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, we should definitely try to do more of these. Maybe like twice a year, or maybe the next one somewhere else. But I do feel like Asia in general is like probably a pretty good spot for this, for things like this. And yeah, no, it's been pretty cool. Yeah, I was talking to Rithvik yesterday. It's his first time out of the country. It's his first time
Wow.
outside of India. And so it's the first time he's met Handshake people in real life. Yeah, I think it was like a pretty cool experience for him. Yeah, and Aureen's done an amazing job. She's been working really hard on this, like connecting with different like CS departments and professors and crypto groups within the university and things like that. Promoting the hackathon to get it to 15 contributors. So yeah, big shout out to Aureen.
Great. And just kind of back to our like back and forth earlier, this is the future, right? The younger generation, the developers, the builders, and that's what I believe Handshake's trying to give. I don't know what the right word is, power
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
to the people, right? To the people, to the community.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like Rithvik is like, I don't know, he just graduated college, and he's a key core contributor to the protocol as well as the Bob wallet. Areen, just found out she's 19 years old. I definitely thought she was older than that.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then so yeah, there's definitely a lot of young like a
I
lot
was
of young
shocked when I
people.
found out that Rithvik was like really young. I thought he was like, my age. Or I don't know how old you are, but I thought he was like older, late 20s, early 30s, something like that. Was not
Yeah,
expecting him
well,
to be that young.
we got to get you on a plane sometime for to get a hackathon. Have you haven't left the U.S. either, right?
I've never been on a plane. I've been everywhere in the U.S. I've been into Canada. I've just never been on a plane.
Oh,
And
you've been to Canada? Oh, you drove into Canada?
Yeah. My family has driven. I've been in every single state. We've driven everywhere in like my childhood, and even I've driven a lot on my own as an adult. I just never flew anywhere, and now that I'm like 35 years old, I'm like just terrified of the idea of flying somewhere.
I think you can take a boat. I think you can take a boat to Asia, maybe.
Oh, dude, a boat's even worse. Fuck that.
Like a cruise ship.
Yeah, no.
How do you go? How do you get to
I'd rather get on a plane than a boat.
Alaska and Hawaii, dude? How do you get there, man? In a car?
I need to go to Alaska. You can go to Alaska through Canada.
That's crazy, bro. I don't know. Like being in a car that long is way more dangerous than being on a plane.
Oh yeah, it's not about that. It's more about like, I guess, like the control. If I'm in a car, I could just be like, well, I'm just gonna pull over and go do whatever the hell I want if I want to get out of the car. You can't really just get out of a plane and pull over here for a second. But
you could if you tried hard enough.
That's true. It's happened before. But generally speaking, you can't do that, and I don't like that.
Planes are pretty safe.
I have trouble with just being like a backseat driver, so being a backseat passenger in a plane sounds like 100 times worse,
Yeah.
All right, I think we're wrapping up. Seems like it's. I hope everybody enjoys these. Thanks Anne for coordinating. Thanks Megs for co-hosting, and Eskimo and Andrew for sharing. It's great. Yes, Friday morning here, 8:30 a.m. in Vietnam. Can't wait to meet a bunch of the OGs here, and we'll share links about how to participate online, but it'll probably be more likely at the end of the weekend, right? And And I think we'll be tweeting from maybe Sky Include or other Twitter accounts about instructions if you want. But again, we're in Asia, so the time zone's a little bit tougher. Asia, Europe, and US. It'll probably be the end of the day on Sunday, I think, from the schedule, which would be early morning US, afternoon in Europe on Sunday is my gut feeling for the judges. Judging time.
Is there actually a regular time for these Twitter Spaces?
We try to do them on towards the third or fourth week of each month on this time of this time, usually Asia mornings, evening. It's usually on a Thursday or Friday like this. And I think the next one we're looking to do is probably same time, like May 23rd. So we try to do it monthly, Thursdays. Actually, another little small announcement is we got Handshake.mastermind back on. Well, it was never offline, but we fixed the SSL, and we're starting to post there again. So if it only works on a Handshake domain, it's got posts from like January 2021. But we put some events there. We'll try to put the schedule up there. And so if you want to check out that, it's like an old school bulletin board, and open for anyone to register and post. And what was something else? Oh, I saw Chango share on Twitter about a hashtag idea. Let me see. Plan H. Oh, Anne can't pin anymore, she says. So she was suggesting we use hashtag Plan H. I think that means Plan Handshake. When she was sharing, we can't pin anything anymore. Plan H. If anyone wants to try to use that in your tweets, especially I think when she's talking about domain. Yeah, if you search Plan H, you'll see your digital sovereignty is at stake. Always use protection Plan H. So I think that means Plan Handshake. Well, I also, she's using it quite a few, and .x has been using it, and some others I see. If you search Twitter, that's cool. All right, well, I think we can wrap it up. Hour and a half is a good amount of time, and hopefully got some inspiration. These always get me motivated. I'm, of course, it's anybody thinking this is like going to be a short-term project that's going to like go mainstream. I don't know what to say even in a time frame. This is a long-term project and a long-term goal, but that's I think why we're here, or I'm here. I'm not doing something for the short term. So
I'm in here for the long term.
Long term. Yeah. So again, however you can contribute. Of course, developers are always, I want to say easier to measure, right? Because building. So that's what we're trying to do at this Handshake hackathon this weekend, is get more building and more tools and more solutions on using Handshake. But of course, helping on Twitter or sharing or content creation. It was actually, you got to check out Miggs's article. He mentioned it earlier. We met in Oman, and he wrote a great article on the decentralizers domain. Having trouble finding the pinned tweet of their decentralizers. So definitely check that out and share, and let's just keep on pushing ahead.
Dumb question, Mike, but at the event thing, did you guys like show people like the shake and stuff, so they know like what already exists, so they don't just like rebuild like stuff we already got?
For this weekend, you mean?
Yeah.
So that's really a lot been Irene, and she has put together a local Vietnamese team. There are documents I've reviewed of the team's projects, and I haven't seen any overlaps, and I haven't been so involved in the team side. That's very local Vietnam. I think there's limited English as well, but they can read in Vietnam. They're very shy to speak, but they can usually read. But the projects I saw didn't seem to overlap.
Yeah. I was just curious, like if like they weren't shown like anything about Handshake. Like, if there are new people that don't know Handshake, they come into it, like, it would just suck if they all had like the same ideas that like we all had building everything already, and then they're kind of making things that wouldn't get used. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah. No, there was a list of like kind of like bounties that we came up
Oh,
with.
okay.
Actually,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I think I got some feedback from you, or you and I might have talked about it at some point too, because I wanted to see if any of your projects you wanted people to do anything for any of your projects, but yeah, I mean there were bounties from the different like open source teams, as well as like Andre put up a bounty for like a email like an email solution. I know he did pretty in-depth research in terms of like putting together that bounty, and he looked at like previous Handshake like email like versions and stuff like that. And then so yeah, I mean it was like I actually is Rithwik on this Spaces.
I
Well,
think I
anyway,
saw,
yeah,
bro.
I know he's been helping a lot on this front too. So, yeah, I mean, no, I think it should be good. And yeah, we did keep in mind like to make sure that they weren't like building things that already exist.
Exactly. It'd be great to see like a whole shitload of new things that we don't have. That's all I'm saying. You know.
No, for sure.
All right.
Migs, you still there, buddy?
Yeah, Migs is driving. You all right?
Yeah, I don't know how I'm sounding right now. Hopefully not terrible, but I am driving. Thank you, thanks everybody with boots on the ground in Vietnam and everybody who showed up. This is awesome, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, again, this is an open decentralized community, so anyone can help. I mean, if you need support on feedback on how to do a hackathon, if you in your local community want to do one of these, I will try our best to support as a community. But yeah, I'm excited for this first one, and we'll try our best to document it and share what happens. Thanks.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Yes,
Cool. Hey, listen, just a quick thought, guys. With Eskimo's HNS chat, why don't we try one of these one time, geared towards being hosted only on Handshake, and maybe provide some sort of incentive for all the participants that show up, maybe a prize like a TLD or some coin or something. I don't know what the logistics would be involved into it being successful, but we could try a trial run, and
Does
if it works
HNS
out,
does it support a chat or audio?
Yeah. So there's a new thing
it
like
does.
if you own a channel, you'll have a little stream, like a button that says stream up in like the top right, and you could like start like an audio video call, and then you'd be able to right click on anybody's name and click like invite as speaker or whatever, and they could
Oh,
then
that's dope. Dope.
join it too. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it would I mean, it's a small step, but it's small steps that gear towards the bigger picture. And even if it's just a small group that show up at the beginning, if it's successful, it shows that and it provides incentive for people to show up, and it's available only on Handshake, on a Handshake TLD, like Eskimo's HNS chat. I mean, it's worth looking at, organizing, and let's just see what we can do with it. Just a thought. I'm just saying.
I agree, and not just because it's my website, but like I've been trying to say
No,
that
I know.
we should all be using things that we fucking make instead of like, like we should, like, our goal should be take all the things that we currently use in Handshake and make our own fucking versions of it and force ourselves to use them and make them better.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's just
there's no
because it's
reason for
ironic.
us
I
to
mean,
use.
right now, we diss ICANN, we're dissing, the government, we're dissing it, but yet here we are. We're on
We're playing in all their sandboxes. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
it's true. I think they had a list. Somebody shared like 1 out of 5, and it's like TikTok's crossed off. I think X is on the list. They're gonna definitely probably go after an X next soon.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, we're using so many different chat apps and communication things and all sorts of different like websites and stuff to share things. But like, we should just have Handshake versions of everything and try to use those and get people to come to them. I don't know.
Yeah,
Been thinking
we'll
for a while.
Yeah, try it. We can try it. Provide some. I mean, I'll put up a TLD. I don't care. I'll put something up as a it's anyone that shows up. We do a kind of like what Mike did at NamesCon. We do it. Yeah, we do a draw or we do whatever, an auction or just something. Everyone that shows up, you're gonna get something. You get something out of it. Not just there to listen.
Mike already has like a HandyCon channel on there, so I mean we could always use that. And
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I mean, should we try for the
That'd be
hackathon
cool.
somehow? Like, I'll have that running during the hackathon. Or
I mean, if you want to, why not?
okay. And I'll probably meet after this call. It's so cool. I don't get to see her so often. I've met her a few times, but I'll be able to hang out with her.
Yeah, definitely try it out like on your own with like just you two or something first, and see how it works and stuff, and see if you think it's worth it. I mean, it's not like the best solution in the world, like obviously, but it works.
It's a start.
Exactly. If it, like the way I'm working with it is, if it gets usage, then I'll put time into actually, rebuilding things better. Like the audio video thing, it works. You can screen share too. It's nice, but it could be way, way, way better.
What about something like this that's just audio with like 50 people?
Yeah, I mean, I could make, but you can join it like it actually uses the same backend that Twitter uses apparently. It's a media server called Janus, Janus. Apparently Twitter uses it for Spaces, so it's the same thing that I'm using. I didn't know Twitter was using it when I chose it, but yeah, it's the same thing. So like, yeah, you can just join it and then just not enable video and just talk audio only if you want.
Yeah.
So
I think the biggest hurdle will actually just be people accessing it initially, because of
you
the
can still
method.
get to it on HNS.chat though, an ICANN domain if you really want to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Through which?
It's either HNS chat as a TLD or HNS.chat, which is an ICANN domain.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, the point is, there was Zoom, right? Zoom was not really well adopted until COVID, and then COVID hit, and then Zoom went crazy, right? And I feel like we're maybe nearing a similar point here. I don't know. To me, the most obvious first one that U.S. government will just block across the board is DeFi. I've always felt like that since the beginning of learning about Handshake. I think DeFi is going to get more and more blocked.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's simple to just look at the things that they've done already. Like, they've already infiltrated basically all banking in the first place, So it would be a logical next step for them to go after, decentralized banking,
Well, they
obviously showed interest.
They wrote a letter to the Uniswap like a week ago, and then they just shut down Samurai. So it seems like that is the first target.
Yeah, and that's all I was trying to say before, is that like when they show that they don't like something and then they keep going after it, like it's safe to assume that they're not just going to randomly say, okay, let's just change the ship's direction. They're going to keep going with the flow, and if the flow is banning domains, they're going to find a way to ban Handshake. That's all.
Trump will make America great again.
How long will it take before it happens? Who knows? I mean, Handshake is still so tiny that it would take years probably before they would even know about it, and then years after that for them to decide to do anything about it. But still, I'm just saying, they like to ban domains. Eventually, they're going to want to ban Handshake domains if Handshake domains.
Well, there might be some freedom fighters that are in the government that are pro decentralization, though. It kind of works against what they're all about, but you never know.
Still see if Handshake gets mass adoption, it would just be just like Bitcoin is now, right? U.S. can ban Bitcoin, China can ban Bitcoin, but that doesn't mean the whole world bans Bitcoin.
It's hard, though. I mean, you've got countries isn't there a country that adopted Bitcoin? El Salvador?
El Salvador, I think. Yeah, it's like the legal currency, right?
literally a currency there. I mean, that's a huge step, and it's only one country, and it's not long before you could get other third world countries that are going to say screw the U.S. currency and let's go with Bitcoin backup.
But I'm saying the same thing on like the handshake or internet level, right? Like China started out with blocking U.S. government-owned like Facebook, and I could see that happening with Handshake and decentralized internet. It's like the U.S. government will ban it across the board on browser level, hardware level, OS level. But that means other countries would maybe then start to have their own browsers, hardware, etc.
Exactly. No, I mean, it could just enable other things to fucking thrive in the market, like Andrew was saying. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. It eventually you ban things enough and you can create new marketplaces. So yeah, for sure.
It creates opportunity.
It definitely does. It's just, it's a bad thing if they try to keep banning stuff, and especially if then they were to get to the point of banning handshake stuff, it's just going to push more people away. But short term, it's going to do exactly what they want, and it's going to prevent 99.9999% of people from accessing what they don't want them to access. Long term, it's just going to create the new market that's going to get all those people just using something else that they don't have control of.
Yeah.
Until they find a new way to
let's just start with a small chat on a handshake TLD, and we'll go from there.
What the hell was that? No, sorry. I think I just ran over something.
Oh, great. What was that? What was it that ran that you? What was it? A bear or something that ran in front of you a few months ago?
Yeah. Did I post the video?
Yeah.
I don't remember if I showed the video somewhere. Oh my god, it was a cat.
I think you did.
What
yeah.
the fuck? It was a cat. I hit a cat and it survived.
Oh, I did that once. That is the saddest thing, man.
It survived.
Yeah,
Holy
you don't
shit.
know though. I mean, it might have survived.
It's one of its lives gone.
No, it's not on the side. It like got up and walked away, and it just sat there, and it's just staring.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah.
It's like an aftershock, and then they go in the bushes and they kind of just die.
Oh, that sucks. I didn't even see it, dude. It's like super dark here. It just popped out. I didn't see it. It was like it ran like under my tire. I didn't even see it. I just saw like the shadow in my headlight of something there. Jeez.
I will. All right.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Tesla's got to have cat sensors.
Yeah, right. Where's the cat sensors?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm signing off. I'll let Mike.
Meg's is post. So we can do these more often, but yeah, we try to at least do them once a month, towards the third or fourth Thursday of the month. Okay, and we did record this, and we will have this shared on various channels. Thanks everybody for being here.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.